Hey everyone, we're out here today in the garden working on our green chilies. So our green chilies have gotten to where they're kind of shaggy and a little bit bushy, and we want them to go up and trellis up. So we put them on strings, tie them up onto a pole, and we like to get them to where they'll end up being about 4 or 5 feet tall. They have lots of chilies on them. It takes a little pruning and a little adjusting to get them that way. It's gotten kind of hot out today. We've already got a head start on this project, and I'm going to walk over here and show you what we've already kind of done and where we want it to, what we're working on and how we want it to end up looking. So here, let me flip this around and I'll show you what we got. So right here's a couple of them. We've already got them pruned up and kind of got them tied onto these strings, and they go up and they hook onto this pole. And they'll go down this pole. And if you look, I've already kind of done some of these right here, and I've got them looking pretty tied up. There's a nice pretty little chili growing right down there. There's chilies on that plant. All these have little small chilies on them. Some of them got a little bit bigger ones. And as we go along, we see that these start to get a little bushier. And you see out it's already laying over here, touching on the ground, looking for disease. So we like to prune these all up and get them all up on these trellises. So I want to show you a little quick comparison. I'm going to come over here and show you. And if we look over here, I've got 2 rows of Anaheim chilies. You can see this one row here on the right and this one over here on the left. If I come back and you can see both rows, you can see how the ones on the left are much larger than the ones on the right. So we did a little experiment this year, and we did a double transplant on the ones that are on the left so that we'd see how much larger they were once we got going in the season. And you can already see that in the ground they're twice the size, some of them 3 times the size of the ones on the right. And it's the same plant. They were started on the same day. We just left the ones on the right in the original seed starting tray. We took the ones on the left and we upped them into bigger pots and got them a little bit larger. And as you can see, we're about to do the same thing. We've already got trellis over there, but that's the tomato rows, and they've gotten really bushy. So here later this afternoon, if we get through the heat, probably this evening, we'll show you little clips on that, but we're going to get those pulled up and picked up as well. So I'm going to get over here and we'll start pruning on one of these and show you how we prune them up. So real quick, I want to talk to you guys about some pruning shears. You can go to the big box store or the hardware store and you can get $5, $6, $7, $10, $12 shears. But you can go over to the Dollar General and they have these little, well, maybe not Dollar General, it's the Dollar Tree, the one that actually things cost $1. And you can get these little pruning shears that absolutely work great. They're $1, you know. So these are really neat to have. This is kind of what you want to use. You can use scissors, but these nice little pointed ones work really, really well. So let me kind of show you what we do. So we got this plant that's all bushy. It gets harder as the season goes along, because you get a little picky because you don't want to cut off branches that have chilies already on them. So sometimes I just go to whacking and I don't worry about the chilies. So right down here, what we're going for is a fork. So if you look over here on this plant, we want these forks, and we want this fork just to be doubled up. Now this one here, I've kind of cheated, and I've got 3 of them on here, but I've got chilies just all right here. You can see this nice little chili growing. These are just wonderful Anaheim green chilies. Just the kind you make your roasted green chilies out of, or your green chili for your cheeseburger. But you can see as we trellis this up on this string that we just keep this going. And what we'll do is, as this grows, this one here will fork. We'll pick the 2 best forks out of it. We'll take one and we'll bring it up, and we'll have the other go. Eventually what we'll have to do is on this side, when we have one of these come up, we'll put a second string, and we'll have to support that second side as it goes up. But we'll just put that first string now. So right down here on this big bushy plant, we'll just start printing off some of this stuff. And what I do is get to where I can see things so that I'm not cutting off too much. And then down here, we just want to clean up this plant, all this stuff down on the bottom. And these tender leaves just kind of pick right off. And then as we get to the fork, the first big fork is where we want to be. So now we start looking at this big fork. Well, I can already see this little plant right here. Now let me see, Raylan, can you get in real close? if you look right here, get these leaves out of the way, you can see that this fork right here that has 3, these 2 branches of the fork are so much more dominant than this one. So this one makes it kind of easy on us which one we want to take off. So we just take off this one here. Now we've got these forks here. So what we'll do is we're going to bring this one up. And we're probably going to tie to this one. So I'm going to take this leaf off here. And we'll take this leaf off here. So I'm going to put my stem down here and we'll tie to this one. And then this one we'll eventually have to restring. But then we've got these forks going. So when all these are going, we could start pruning these off a little higher. And we can take this one and we can trim it off right here. We can prune that out and clean it up. And we can take this one right here and see we've got a chili growing there. So we want to keep that chili. So this would be, this one here is already the blossom set. You can tell by the swell on the bud right here that that's going to start to perform and grow chili. You can see like this small one right here. This up a little bit. So to trellis them, we just use these little stakes. Quite honestly, I think these stakes are something we picked up probably at one of the stores after Christmas when they're getting rid of all the Christmas tree light stuff and the decorations. I think these are stakes that hold Christmas lights and you put them on the ground. Well, for our purpose here, I take this stake and I put it right down here beside this plant down in here, and I kind of spin it into the plant, and it kind of just makes a perfect stake for it. And bring this up here, I just measure out a little piece of string. And I always try to make sure that my plant's still right on the right side of my string. You get as fancy as you want with a knot. We just use this jute string, hemp string, or I think this is about a 3-ply. You can get a 4-ply or a 5-ply. This I think we got on the big ol' Amazon for like 3 packs or 3 rolls for, I don't know, $10. You can probably find it a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier. I absolutely hate having to go to the store and look for stuff. And in the middle of the night, I can shop for stuff on Amazon. So I just take a little loop, tie it right here in the fork so it can't fall down. Tie it right there. Now she's tied up. That's all there is to that one. So we'll do a couple more. We'll let you go kind of watch along. You see this plant's leaning pretty good. We've had a lot of wind this spring. A lot of heavy hard winds. We probably should have trellised these up a little sooner. So this has 3. So I kind of look and see this one looks like it's the weakest of all the 3. I have to admit, when I see a chili, even if it's on a little bit weaker one, I tend to be a little leery of cutting off the fruit. Life in the desert. The camera got too hot and shut off. I was just about to tie this plant up right here, so I've already done so because we didn't know the camera shut off. So we've got this tied up in a couple different places, and there you can see it takes just a matter of a couple of seconds or minute maybe or so to do each one. I've already pruned off a couple more, And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and tie this one in. There's Scout back there in the yard. She must see something. I bet it's the umbrella that we got out to shade the camera. She doesn't like things. She's a rescue dog. She was found by some friends of ours. Actually, her and I believe 5 other siblings. There were 6 of them. They were abandoned under a bridge along the highway in rural New Mexico. And they had just stopped for, I don't even know what reason they stopped for. They just stopped right there at that bridge for some reason, and they heard dogs barking. And they were like, wait a minute, we're in the middle of nowhere. Where are these dogs barking from? So they investigated and walked down to the bridge. It's just a little, not over water or anything, just a dry arroyo bridge. And they went down, and there were the puppies, probably about, I think they were about 6 weeks old. And they saw those puppies in there, so they coaxed them all out to got them picked up and brought them home. And then they went to finding homes for them. And somehow we ended up with one. But she's ended up really being a really good dog. She is absolutely scared of everything. We think, obviously, if they were just thrown out on a bridge or under a bridge or along the highway, they went through some sort of traumatic experience. She's come along a long ways. All right, so that's how that is. That's all there is to tying them up. So I'm going to go along and finish these up, and we'll get back with you after a while. Well, here it is, guys. We've finished putting the trellises up. It's all tied up. You can see, I'll walk down through here and we'll see how nice those plants look all pulled up. You can tell they're a little hot right now. I think it's 96 degrees. So we're just trying to get out of this heat. So here's a little bit of a side view of the peppers. Gives you a little bit better perspective of how they're picked up right now. And you can see the peppers hanging right there from those. There's some peppers hanging there. There's this little plant, just, it's quite the achiever. Already about 4, I think there's 4 or 5 peppers right there that are already on their way to being a chiller yellow. So tomatoes are up next. So we're gonna let it cool off a little bit. It's 95. The greenhouse is about 82, which is wonderful. A little bit warmer than I want it to be, but we'll be working on that too. Probably another project on try to cool it off a little more. But kind of see it over my shoulder there. Shade fabric's working great. We've got a fan with a swamp cooler pad, a vapor cooler pad, pumping some water on it, helping out a little bit. But it's doing really well, and we'll be back to you after a while.